Drink up the oddies, yo-ho. Marauded, embezzle, and even hijack. Drink up the oddies, yo-ho. Yo-ho, yo-ho, a pirate's life for me.
To make sure your treasure is buried, your parrot fed, and the rum is poured. It's time to set sail on another Patches and Rum podcast, exclusively for members of the History of Pirates channel.
What is up, everybody? We haven't done one of these in over a month.
What's up, guys?
It's
Yeah,
so
it's
hard.
not
All it's been is a month.
It's been a
It's
while.
longer.
Feels longer.
Yeah, I think has it not been longer?
We have been a little busy,
Indeed.
but hopefully things can change. And holy crap!
Yeah.
Raider.
I was just talking to him a couple hours ago.
Raider.
769 souls.
What?
I don't know.
Welcome to the crew. Now get to work.
Maybe that's what I should have played it for. Holy crap, Raider!
And 20
right below that.
members for my crew.
I will put the captain where he needs to be. There we go.
Commodore.
Commodore, yeah. Our man at arms is not in uniform, and
I'm not the man at arms. I'm the helmsman.
he's got some weird cable like flapping around in front of the.
We talked about this.
What
man.
was that?
I can't. I don't have my extender. I don't know where it
I
is.
told you to buy tape
You need to
last
get some
night.
tape.
Just
I
tape
was
it to
gonna
the
say,
side of your.
Need some tape.
What
I
what
don't
is
know where
going
my
on
extending cord is.
with that? And Raider, thank you, sir. Thank you. Just coming in hot and supporting. We are live on Facebook. I don't know if anybody's watching over there. This has been so long. We are live on Rumble. We are live on YouTube. And
Hail the
unfortunately, I couldn't be live on Twitter because it said, in order for you to go live on Twitter, you got to have the blue check mark. And I don't have one for History of Pirates. So I was like,
Oh,
Aw.
we should get on that.
Oh,
Let's get on that.
so disappointing.
off we go. Off we go. So yeah, we have some live. I'm looking at Facebook. There's people watching. That's nice. It's way behind, but whatever.
That's fine. Hail to all of our people
Yeah.
over on Facebook and hail to our Rumble members. Thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you. Greg the Goblin says, "Hey, Wicked and guys."
What is that
Hi,
supposed to
Greg.
So Wicked's going to show off her brand new outfit for the podcast.
Okay. I gotta get up. My trip is your fault. It was a long dress.
She was very excited for this. That's all I'm saying.
I'm super excited. New
Yeah,
dress.
there it is.
Oh, wow, look at that.
Yeah,
Wow.
You wore a dress for a podcast where you're sitting down.
yeah.
I usually wear a skirt. I don't know.
We're all very proud
I'm
of you.
invested. Thank you.
Wearing my Rebellion pirate shirt, so you know
Where,
we're all there.
mostly-
Anyway, Raider, Greg, thank you guys for the love. We still are looking for 150 souls, but we'll be okay with what we have.
Well, you had to start somewhere.
Got to start somewhere.
20's a fair chip off of my my credit line.
What the heck have we been doing that we've been gone for so long? What's been happening with life?
I can tell you a little something we've been doing.
Yes, please.
So, some of you may have heard that Jay and I have been working on a beautiful story about a young man turned to piracy after a life of service to the crown. And the good news is that story is finally done.
Huzzah!
The story is done. It's over. It's time to hand it over to the powers that will be to draw this beautiful story and bring it to life for you. But
Yay.
it's coming your way very shortly. Now I have to retire from the typewriter and pick up the hammer, and we'll make
He's
some
not
beautiful
kidding. It
swords
was
for you
a
guys.
typewriter.
But
That's why it took so long. He kept having to white out his mistakes.
Clyde for 5 souls.
Welcome to the crew. Now get to work.
Wait, Raider, did you just give another 20?
Vindicta!
What the heck, man? That's 40 souls from Raider alone. What are you doing, man?
Let's go.
You guys just like seeing the cannon?
Welcome to the crew. Now get to work.
Thank you, guys. Drunk 3PO was gifted. Jay's a member of his own channel. Yeah, that's weird. Why am I not?
Come on, bro.
They ran out of like people to give it to. I don't know.
There was a poor soul in the chat waiting for a gift, and you stole it from them.
It's pretty rough. Doug B in the chat. I see you. Mystic Girl. Another Doug. Sissy. Lynn Green. Mountain Mutt. Charles Vane. We just talked about you the last time we were here.
Oh, hello, Chell.
Dark Intelligence is here. Stephen Brown, our vindictive brother. I think Casey is in the chat as well. Clyde says cannons are cool. Yeah, I agree. Luke Voss is here. Katie Bug. I love it.
Hi, Katie Bug.
Let's see. Marianne says, hi, Jay. Ahoy, Captain Jay. I'm more of a lieutenant.
I think we stick with Captain. I like it.
Midshipman.
Yeah.
Captain Jay.
Galley's aid.
Hand me that salt, lad. Hand me that salt.
Give me the
Jim Hawkins was for
Kenny Long.
Long John Silver.
Yeah, that's true. Before he changed over. All right, way to make it sound cool, even though it's not. Let's see. So I think I said hi to Chaos says, give me back my membership. Whew.
You gotta earn that, lad.
And I will say this is a sad. It's been long enough that our dear friend Dawn, who passed away, she loved this podcast and always would bother me when we do it again. And she would be the one that counted the memberships, you know? So like the last one time we were together, I think was the last time she was alive. It's been that long because she would always count. And then she would send me an email saying, I counted so many
this many souls.
Yeah. So it's gonna be man, how sad it is that we won't see her in the chat doing that. So,
your mug's up and your ale to Dawn.
To Dawn, Hal. Well, my mugs.
Send us off with some cannons, would you? To Dawn.
Welcome to the crew. Now get to work.
And that's how it was.
Yep. She's still cracking the whip way up there on the golden pirate ship in the sky.
You had 5 seconds to mourn, and then it was back to work on that ship. And it seems like there was more stuff to do on a ship than like everyday life. They're constantly doing stuff. Like, what could they possibly be doing for months on end out on a ship?
Well, when you think about it,
a lot of work.
You're in the ocean, which is already such a dangerous and uninhabitable place to be. That's, you got stuff hitting your ship. You got storms damaging your vital parts of your ship that you got to repair them.
And they also kept barnacles. They also had to like get leaned over the side and get the barnacles shaved off. Were they fishing at all? I think
100% all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
You got to think about it, man. I mean, like nowadays we have metal. We can make metal float. What a luxury. Imagine having a wood deck. You just got a wood deck with sheets attached to it. And you're like, we're going to go from, I don't know, the Caribbean to Africa. I mean, it was insane. These people were absolutely insane what they did.
And they weren't very wide either. That's the crazy thing. Like, if you actually see these ships up close, they're very thin. So I guess that was to help with the speed or like cutting through the waves as well.
It was speed, and then center of gravity. You put all of your heavy stuff in the very bottom of it, and you're good to go. Keeps you upright.
Pretty wild. Well, today we're talking about a pirate that we couldn't get the name right. So
Avery?
I don't know, like I was just kind of like, which one is it? I'm not sure.
It's
It
Avery or
was a
Avery.
vowel vary. A vowel vary. It was
Yes.
A or E
It
or
was spelled like different, but also there's been a controversy about his flag too.
Looks
Sorry,
like
I
he's got
can't get rid
headphones
of it.
on.
This is the best I could do.
that
we
was
run.
his Roger.
It was
Yes,
red.
but it also it was a lot of people were saying that it wasn't red, it was black.
Oh,
So maybe he had both.
it's
Could
like his
be.
last name. Too.
I'm just trying to figure out what's going on there. So does he have a gauged ear and it's a bandana coming down? Did he have abnormally large earlobes? Was it
He had
It's
really
gotta be a
big
bit-
earrings.
bandana, right? And then a
Yeah,
big
it's,
earring?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's probably bandana with an earring.
The crazy so usually if you fly a red flag, that means like no quarter.
Mm,
Like no prisoners. Everyone's gonna
Everyone's
die if
done.
you don't give up. So that was a pretty bold move,
that's
to
a very
like
aggressive move.
to come out in all red. And the use of the Jolly Roger was to kind of like sound to show the other ships, this is what we're gonna do to you if like you don't surrender. It was a scare tactic
Yeah, it was intimidation.
to try to get and most ships did. They surrendered. You want to know why? Because most of the guys on the ship didn't even own the ship and they didn't care. It was just kind of like
It's like getting robbed at Walmart. You're like, I don't care if Tostino's loses $200. I don't
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
flying the red flag, if that means no quarters, is a lot different than flying the black flag. Because black flag, yeah, they may surrender and the whatever. But if you're flying a red flag, no quarter, they
Everyone's
might
gonna
be
die.
they might be more prone to fight back, right?
Yeah.
Because no quarter, like, dude, they may just kill everybody on the ship.
Yeah, that's pretty much what they saw. It's like if you didn't basically, like we're any type of pushback. If you don't stop this ship right now, we're killing everybody.
Yeah.
Everyone's done. So think about that for a second. And the crazy thing is too, it's like when we did talk about, and I see you risk it, man. All our Vindicta people are here in the chat. Look at that. When we talked about oh my gosh, what was his name? Not the guy, a Calico Jack. Calico Jack was one of the, some people say he's one of the worst pirates because all he did was go after small fishing vessels.
Yeah.
So he would just be like, oh, they're not going to fight back. They don't even have any cannons. We're just going to like, fly our flag and steal their rum and have some fun and eat some fish.
Take a fishing vessel. Like, what's the point?
It only keeps you going for like maybe a couple days. Who knows?
Yeah.
But Henry Avery
Or
was,
Avery. Or Jack Avery, or John Avery, or Benjamin
Or
Bridgman,
Long Ben.
or Long Ben.
yeah. Where do you get the name?
This dude had more Twitter accounts than any other pirate anywhere.
Where do you get the name Long Ben? Man, I heard like a chime.
Yeah, Long Ben.
What is that? Did
the
somebody
arch
have a
pirate.
sound effect? Or
No.
No,
Not that would play through StreamYards.
just you.
that's weird. Maybe it was I don't know. So I've been hearing like a noise. It's like on one of these pages I'm trying to figure out, but
Calico Jack was a
I got an
disservice to mustaches everywhere.
yeah. But he's also has the most famous Jolly Roger.
Dude, look at this guy.
This was a portrait of 35-year-old, 36-year-old Henry.
He looks 60.
I don't know about 60, but that's like a 54, 56-year-old dude right there. I mean, that's a grizzled man. Look at that
It's
dude.
just crazy, like how he talk, like when we see that, people are like, yeah, the old man in the sea, It's like, no.
He was actually 20.
I was like, if Long John Silver wanted to murder someone, I mean, he's just like.
Well, he did.
I'm talking about the fish sticks guy from
No.
the grocery store.
Yeah, I mean, he probably did.
it just goes to show you how like rough life was back then. How they living on a ship. You know, you ain't have your Flintstone vitamins. Okay, there's a lot of a lot of salt and sea in the air. That's probably not good for the old skin. You know, they probably all had like leather, pasty skin all the time. A little dehydrated, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
And
no Pantene Pro V in that beard there. This is 100% natural.
But for everyone describing Henry Avery, he came across as like Santa Claus.
He looks
Chubby,
like Santa.
jolly.
I hadn't heard that.
Things like that.
Jolly? Wasn't he like
Yeah,
ruthless?
like when he wasn't being very brutal pirate, he was a very happy.
He wasn't killing people. He was real nice.
When he was on the shore with his men, he was he was like they call him the players coach. Have you ever heard that term?
Yeah.
It's the coach that the players would hang out with and have a beer with. Yeah. Because he started around 29 years old and he was on a ship and the crew wasn't happy with what was happening. And 100 men or so decided to mutiny while the captain was drunk. And they made this young man who looks 100 the captain. And that's when he renamed his ship. Yeah, anybody
Fancy.
know?
Fancy.
Yep.
Yeah.
So as I was reading about him, I remembered there was another pirate that had a ship named the Fancy. And we've talked about it before. Do you remember?
Yes.
I could not remember who had the Fancy. Was it Ned Lowe?
No.
Ned Lowe had the Fancy.
I'm
Googling.
No, Ned Lowe had the White Galley, didn't he?
Bro.
Did you really just say that?
No, he had I don't remember.
Mods, can we kick this guy?
What is he doing, man? He's supposed to like bring balance here, and he just literally said, "Why a galley?"
You were supposed to bring balance to the ship, not destroy it.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to do like 40 things at once.
The guy. Wow. Now let's just admit to the chat that you're not giving them your undivided attention. That's great.
Nice work. I really appreciate it.
There was another guy that had the Fancy. It wasn't Henry Avery. It was
I'm trying to remember who had the Fancy.
It was Edward Lowe.
It was Ned Lowe.
Yeah. I had to look it up too because it was bothering me.
Perfect. Yeah, he had the Fancy before he had the rose pink, and then he had the rose pink and he turned it over while he was trying to clean it like an idiot. Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't have it very long and it just sunk.
Yeah.
Even though it was a cool name.
Ned Lowe had some of the weirdest like pirate part of me kind of thinks he might have aired on the little fruity side. He's like the rose pink and the Fancy. It was like really
kind of weird. And they wore like
ship names.
They wore like powdered wigs. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
5 for 2. Still gonna recommend novel The Dark Frigate.
Ooh,
recommended that.
I'd be down to read that. Yeah, I'd be down to read it.
Mountain Mud for 5. For the late arrivers, can we get Wicked to stand up again? Just think about it, my friends in the chat. As a courtesy. Oh, forget it. It's just for me.
We're
gonna
need a 50 for that, not a $4.99.
It's up to Wicked. Like I'm not gonna force her to do anything. She might not feel comfortable. I don't know.
But so I have to wonder if it. Whoa, my power grows stronger. Stronger.
You want to show off your dress again, or?
Oh my gosh!
Why? Oh,
okay,
okay.
Like I said, you didn't have to.
You can't see it because I'm like in a black chair. So.
Yeah.
There you go.
Is the corset a part of the dress?
No, it's a dress. I always put my outfits together separately. It's not.
Okay.
And holy crap, Ian So Forth with a $50 donation. Wait, are you saying Uncharted 4's representation of Avery was unrealistic?
No, spot on. 100%. They totally took their time historically.
I see you guys over on Facebook chat. I'm telling you that it probably wasn't realistic.
I don't remember a pirate being in Uncharted.
I didn't play any of them, so I don't know.
I did. I remember. It was
I don't
super
remember.
realistic. What are you talking about?
It's pretty wild.
I think that means no.
And holy crap, Raider just said, let me just drop 50 more gifted
Hooray!
memberships to the chat, man.
Welcome to the crew. Now get to work.
108 people in the chat. That should pretty much cover everyone.
I think we got everyone.
Unless you have a brand account, then it won't give you. I don't know why. YouTube
Yay, I got
does
one.
Raider,
So-
thank you, brother. That was
I
incredibly,
really appreciate
incredibly kind.
What a guy.
It's 50, 60, 70. That's almost 100 gifted memberships
I
on
think
this
it's
stream alone.
70 just by Raider. 20 and 50.
It's,
Two 20s and a 50.
90.
So
It's
90.
by Raider.
Maybe you guys can convince Jay to finally put up the new emotes that he's got for this channel.
Or the
Got a
intro.
lot
I
of
mean,
them.
whatever you're into. Clyde gifted 5.
And Raider also gave $73.69. Ian gave 50. Oh my gosh, you guys are just being too nice. And we got people over on Facebook who are members. Unbelievable. And Icanalist is over on Rumble. Just saying, hey. Hey. Now
I
back-
mean, wow.
I mean, there's a lot of people watching, but no one's talking. So, you know. Back to Henry Avery. How do we say his name? Because it's either spelled with an
You say
E.
it like that.
I
Well,
say
it's kinda
Avery.
tough. Yeah, so it's tough because I think, like as any good criminal would, as you go around and you speak to people, you would never say your name, right?
Mhm.
I mean, you know, X-Wing goes out and does his stuff on the channel, and then you turn around and you're like, "Hey, you read a book? What's your name?" And you're like, "I'm
Excellent.
Henry Alari." You change your name. Yeah, if you're the most bad pirate in the world, and by the way, for the 2 years that he was doing stuff, I know we were talking in the back a little bit, like he wasn't all that crazy. This dude was dubbed the Arch Pirate, the King of Pirates.
Yep.
Yeah.
This dude was absolutely well known around the parts as somebody that should be hung, arrested, stuck in one of the boxes, hang him over the bay, like make sure he's in a cage, hang him from, you know, the top of Port Royal. And he's right there in the middle of the golden age of piracy as somebody who, you know, was
He's a
not a
bit-
good person.
He's a
So
bit
yeah,
early,
change your
though.
name.
You know, he's what?
He's a
about
little
15?
early, mid
Yeah.
1690s.
Yeah, so he's just at the beginning of it. While because he wasn't even involved in the War for the Spanish Succession. He was involved in the 9 Years' War prior to it. A lot of the
Yeah.
pirates we've talked about so far, they got a lot of their experience in the War for the Spanish Succession.
We call him
Yeah.
a bit of a founder. He was an
Mhm.
early man, an early
Yeah.
man.
He's
He
probably
was-
inspiration for a lot of other
Yeah, I
guys.
was gonna say I read something about him being inspiration because of how much he made and actually got away, which most pirates didn't. Well, possibly got away. We don't really know.
According to different sources, he made off with today's money about 95 million.
Yeah.
So
I think
and
one hit went for like 600,000 pounds.
there was
which in
one hit
today's
in
money is like-
India. Yeah, there was one hit in India, and I don't know if he technically was in the golden age of piracy. He was a little bit before. So
It was like, wasn't it like 1694 when he took
Yeah.
over the ship? So
I
wasn't
call
it
like
golden age?
1690 up through like 1750. That like
About the
60 year
golden age?
period is
Yeah.
is
He
like,
was right at
that's
the
like
beginning
golden age,
where-
yeah.
And it probably was Henry Avery who, like you said, when the stories got out there, like this guy was in a ship for 2 years and he made off with $100 million.
wait. How much money?
It's
I could do anything for a week.
not only that, it wasn't when he took over the ship around the Caribbean area, and then they went right to Madagascar, close to the Indian Ocean. And I see like the gifted membership. I'll get to him 1 second. You guys are very generous. Holy crap. And when he was in the Indian Ocean, he attacked a lot of Indian ships, and they were carrying not goods as a lot of the goods that pirates attacked that they got were like sugars, salt, spices,
Drums,
cocoa,
things, yeah.
gunpowder, things like that. Here, it was straight up gold, silver, diamonds,
And people.
yeah.
He was definitely involved in the slave trade.
Yeah.
Well, that was the thing, is the reason why they made those trips from Africa was because of how valuable the cargo was. You weren't going to go from, Africa to the Americas with sugar. There was no point for that. But if you carried humans, and not to mention the amount of precious stones that came out of Africa at that time, even to this day, is flabbergasting. So when you think about
go ahead, sorry.
That's like full of gigantic rubies and crazy stuff like that, that was coming out of Africa.
Mm-hmm.
The one fleet that he went after, he teamed up with a bunch of other pirates too, right, Thomas? 2 was one of them I read. Like that big fleet that had like 25 ships. That was like a really big, I think that was one of the last ones he took over.
He was that was the start of his career, wasn't it?
That was the start?
Yeah, so he was serving on the crew of a 25 ship convoy.
Yes.
And I think King's Advisors, this is what you were talking about, when the captain was just being a yahoo. And so they took the ship over completely. And that outing,
officers that didn't like them because they were Englishmen, so they weren't paying them and stuff. Is that what you're talking about?
They stole the Indian ship.
Oh, you're talking about, okay, I'm thinking of a different one, sorry.
How do you say that ship name?
This would be pronounced to me the Ganji Sawai.
Right. Now, that ship had a lot more men and a lot more firepower, and according to history, they shot down the mast. So once they got the mast down, many of the crew abandoned ship, but they also had a lot of women on board. And so this is what made Henry Avery turn out to be like the king of pirates, one of the bad men, because in that report that came out of India, they wanted this man captured and they wanted him killed. And this is when they actually sent William Kidd to go capture Henry Avery. But then when William Kidd went after Avery, he just said, this is dumb. I'm going to be a pirate myself.
How much?
So he changed. So in that report from India, again, this is a country that was embarrassed because they lost millions of dollars. They claim that Henry Avery and his crew not only brutally tortured the men by cutting off their ears, poking their eyes out, cutting off their noses, feeding body parts to animal. Like, it is just like, on some of these reports was like horrid stuff. They also said that they did, we can't say this word on YouTube, but they also did horrible things to the women, no matter how old they were or young they were, things like that. That was the report. They wanted this man caught. They wanted this man brought back to this country, and they were probably going to hang him. Probably not from the noose, though, but probably a worse torture. But a lot of people were saying that Henry wasn't that bad of a guy, but these reports came out because he would steal so much money from these countries that they were embarrassed that they would make up these reports saying, if you see this guy, shoot him on contact. He's a terrible person. This is what he does to women. This is what he does to children. This is what he does to people. This is what he does. So get rid of him. We need him gone. And with that being said, Doug B.
Welcome to the crew. Now get to work.
The 5, Doug B. And Ian for 50 again says, make sure Raiders membership's clear. I'm not sure that guy's on your level. Thank you for the $50, Ian.
You can't bounce the check on a soul.
And one more. It's our guy Sloth. What's up, man? It says, hey, you guys. For 2.
On what we were saying about the
thank you guys for being very generous.
It wasn't
by the way.
It wasn't India as a country that was getting upset about this. It was the East India Company. It was
the EIC.
It was the first corporation. It was the largest corporation in at the time. And
they had more money than the British Empire.
Yeah,
at their height. They had more money than the British Empire.
Up. The British government put 500 pounds on his head and declared him a menace to the worldwide menace, and then the India Trade Company matched it. So a lot of money to get him.
But the other thing too is England had to deal with the fact that Henry left a note on one of these islands. Do you guys know about this?
No.
He left a note on one of these islands saying, "I will never attack an English vessel. I am loyal to the king," even though he attacked like 3 or 4 English vessels.
Just a couple.
Mostly loyal.
So with these massive raids that he did, the crown was also like dealing with, you know, these corporations and governments. They're like, "Hey, this is your guy, man."
Yeah.
Like
You
he's
said your
stealing
boy
all our
was
gold,
chill.
and they're just like, "We're trying to have peace here. Like, what's happening?" They're like, you don't. We're with war with the Spain. I don't know what's going on there." So
Henry said he was chill. I don't know what's going on.
He's a jolly old soul, I tell you. He's a jolly. He also did celebrate Christmas, according to another book as well. Maybe that's where that jolly came from. I'm not sure.
It is kind of crazy though, because history, as always, is written by the victor. As always, right? And so we never really know exactly what these dudes were like, because we don't have Twitter posts and Instagram pictures of like, "Hey, I was in East India, like me and the homies just hanging out. We stole from the Spanish." You know what I mean? But absolutely, these people would be villainized horrifically. I mean, this happens nowadays. You know, if you don't like somebody, you just indict them. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. So
Clyde's like, honestly,
you know what I mean? If you don't like somebody, just indict them. So it's always tough to say, but I mean, I still feel like there are at many junctures people who are recorded as being brutal human beings. So somebody like Ned Lowe, like it's well known that guy was a brutal dude.
He was kind of cuckoo.
Yeah. And then you get guys like this where a lot of people, I mean, it's still recorded in history that they're like, he wasn't bad. And to me, that he kind of comes along in that same windmill, that same vein as like a Sam Bellamy, you know, somebody who cared about the people he was with, somebody who just wanted to make money. They were sailors who were out of work and they were like, well, whatever, let's go steal some stuff. I don't know.
According to the History Channel,
oh boy,
the King's Advisors is right. You guys were right. The East Indian Company and the Royal Navy got together to hunt down Henry because they didn't. England didn't want the trade agreement to be broken because of some rogue person in an English ship hunting down all this money. So that's where William Kidd shows up. William Kidd is like one of the more famous pirates. He's actually, if you saw One Piece, the first episode of One Piece, that was made off of William Kidd, the pirate
really?
that said, because in the first episode, he's like, "I buried treasure out there somewhere," and so William Kidd did that as a ploy to try not to die. You know, he was like, if you let me live, I've buried tons of treasure out there. Trust me, you want to know. And a lot of people believed him because of like his, you know, the things that he did. But unfortunately, he died and never told anybody if there was any treasure. And I don't know if anybody found it. But even if someone did find it, do you think they would turn it in or tell someone? That's the thing. So he could have buried $1 million, and it's like, you know, someone's just sunbathing on the beach and they're like, "Hey, what is all this gold?" It's like, do we turn it back into England? No, man. We're going down south. Let's buy a plantation or something and like kick back. So that was William Kidd.
Stupid.
I'm muted. What did you say?
No, it was me. I said, where does everyone go when they need to hide? They go to Brazil. Nobody ever looks in Brazil. It's where everybody goes. Everyone goes to Brazil, and nobody looks Argentina. There.
Or they went to pirate-friendly havens, such as the Caribbean and Madagascar, places like that, where they could just spend their money and their goods, and no one would ask questions on where they got it.
There was also a rumor, right, that he made his own like pirate sanctuary and was like the ruler of it somewhere, right? I heard that rumor somewhere.
That is correct.
Yeah.
And that sanctuary might be in the Donner's Revenge book.
we know that you could have just gone to a city and paid enough. It's exactly what Blackbeard did. He went up and down the Carolinas, and no one arrested him because he paid them off, procured goods for them that they couldn't get from the crown. So, money talks.
Absolutely, because England would set up these colonies, and then they would never come back. And you had these governors in charge of these colonies, and they were just like, hey, we ain't got no food here, man. Like, we need some help. We've got some ruffians here, How long would a letter take to get back to England? So from South Carolina colony, how long would that take?
Dude, you're looking at 4 to 6 months.
Easy, right? Half a
for
year.
That to be delivered to somebody in like 4 to 6 months. I'm stealing something and I'm gone.
Well, that's why piracy was so lucrative, especially during the Golden Age, because a lot of these governors were like, I can get a box of sugar here for like $2 instead of like buying it from the Spanish or wherever at cost. So go ahead and pirate. I'll look the other way. Take care, Doug B. I know you got to do some stuff. It's all good.
Bye, Doug.
So,
you really look. I'm not advocating for, being a bank robber or anything like that. But you have to think about if you're barely surviving on boiled cabbage and water, and somebody says, if you point a gun at this guy, you can make $600,000 today, and nobody's gonna know about it for 5 months. And nobody knows your name. They don't know where to find you.
Halfway across the world.
Well, I would be in Libertalia. I'd just be like, that sounds great. I'm not going to lie. Look, the British Empire is going to be fine. They'll recover.
Yeah, they're nice and fat, and they're living on non-spiced food at the time.
Yeah.
So, because that was the most valued commodity. It was like, man, you got spices? Bring that over here, man. My chicken, my fish.
They did all that work and they still don't use them.
I need some of that accent.
They boil everything.
Yeah.
I need some of that. I need some of that Old Bay sauce. I don't know where you picked that up from, but I need some of that. That's what I need. The problem was, pirates would have a big score. They would settle down. They were like, I'm done. And then they'd have another itch, and they'd have to go back out and be like, what? Just one more time. It won't hurt anybody, right? Just one more time. And that's normally how they got caught.
When they died or they got caught or...
Except for Henry.
One of the few.
Henry was the guy that after this big score, it is reported that he had tons of diamonds and gold, and he just disappeared. No one quite knows where he went. He just kind of probably went back to England or wherever, and just went to the outskirts and just kind of lived his life. There was small reports that he was sighted here and sighted there, but nothing serious. Now, according to A General History of Pirates, which is a book where we get most of our information from, to be honest, they claim that he was swindled out of his money and he died a beggar, a poor beggar. So, but that cannot, nobody knows for sure. The only way that they would know that was real is if the author, who was under a fake name as well, because he didn't want to get in trouble, met up with him, or somebody from his family told him that. But it wouldn't surprise me that the guy who wrote General History of Pirates, when allegedly he went to these different places and wrote down notes, wrote down these stories. It just sounds like he's a guy that went to like a local tavern, and there was an old man in the sea who was like, "You want to know about pirates? Let me tell you about Anne Bonny and Mark." You know what I mean? Like, like X-Wing in like 20 years.
Yeah.
You know what I like to think? I like to think he went around to tell that story, and there was a very old, decrepit man sitting in a tavern, and he goes, "Henry,
yeah,
Haven't heard that name in years.
He was swindled out of all his money and died.
Yes.
And then he turns around and walks away, and it's Henry Avery, and
Yeah,
he's
right.
walking away. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm thinking too. It's like maybe they got some stories, and then the real life pirates are like, "You can't tell him I'm still alive, man. I'm gonna get caught." Like,
Yeah. If
tell
it
him
were
I
me-
died. Like, tell him I disappeared.
Yeah, don't pay to tell somebody to start a rumor. Like, go pay the guy who's publishing the only newspaper
most-
that exists
Yeah.
in Massachusetts and say, like, hey, yeah, he famous pirate dies at 36 years old, buried here in the cemetery, and then nobody asks questions,
Yep.
and you just go, milk cows and enjoy and blah blah blah, live your life.
I mean, it's. I think that is actually what happened more than like the more I read
100%.
and study, it's. I think it would be cool that they call him Captain Charles Johnson, and then later it was he gave his real name Defoe, I think, and when he republished the book, one of the more famous books of pirate history. I think I have one right here because I go through it all the time. Yeah, here it is. A general history of pirates, and like I think the original version was a general history of the murderous and story of pirates. Like the title was like a chapter. It wasn't just like a book on
Yeah.
pirates. It was like everything. And the way it was written, it's a hard read. But once you understand like how like it wasn't written like in story form. It was like it's like facts. It was like weird. Like when you read about Blackbeard, it's like Blackbeard married this woman, killed her, then went back on the ship. Like no emotion, no nothing. Just like straight
Very
fact.
matter of fact.
So yeah, it's just like, oh, he pursued this ship, took it over, killed the men, and got cocoa and sugar and looked for medicine. The next day, after looking for medicine, it's like, okay, wait, what happened to these men? Now, a lot of the stories that come out of this, the records that they use are from court documents of wanted posters, or like some of the pirates that were already captured that apparently that were on documentation. If you go to the museum that's in St. Augustine, they actually have some of the documentation from Calico Jack, Charles Vane, and Bonnie, things like that, of their original wanted posters, things that were written about them in the papers, stuff like that up in Boston. It's quite fascinating. So
I have a huge favor to ask you guys.
What?
I just got a really cool text from my oldest brother, who you never hear from. He lives in the Caribbean. Okay. He just got his legitimately from the government captain's license to captain large boats in the Caribbean. I'm looking at the picture of it right now. It's his diploma, an operator of passenger vessels
Ooh.
from the United States Coast Guard and the Caribbean. So could we, in a big congratulations to Captain Alex.
Here, here.
To Captain Alex. Congratulations, brother.
Did he time
That's
that
awesome.
perfectly, or just
I don't think he knows that I do YouTube. But
Probably a
huge
good
shout
thing. You
out to
still
my
do it.
brother for being he's got his captaincy. That's
pretty
incredible.
awesome.
That's
Ian,
not
thanks for
easy to
becoming-
get.
Thanks for becoming a member.
Welcome to the crew. Now get to work.
So when do we see him on the next episode of Below Deck?
That's huge, man.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah,
awesome.
That's really huge.
Let's see. One of the here we go. I think this is in the History of Pirates book, actually. I have to double check. This is one of the last drawings of Henry Avery. Oh,
It's
that's
a lot
cool.
like Charles
I got it.
Stewart.
And behind him is the Fancy.
Burning?
The fancy.
It was after like They usually always do that. to
It
try to
looks
make
like
them,
it's burning.
I mean, look at the guy. He's wearing the powdered wig. He's got the stockings on. Okay, he doesn't look too menacing. Does have his sword out. Does have a couple guns around his waist. But man, he's got a pouch. He's got a fanny pack, dude.
That's a
Like,
long pistol he's got tucked in, though. Look at how long the pistol is.
I can't. You can't put fanny packs on pirates, man. It just doesn't do it for me at all.
That's a manny pack.
That just hurts my soul, you know. Like the
It's
fact
his
that
purse.
he's got a fanny pack. I don't know.
If you're gonna do it, do a cross, like a cross thing. Don't do it around
purse?
the waist with a fanny pack hanging over.
They didn't do it.
front.
They weren't cool back then. It was all practical. You probably had like a piece of fruit in there, some gunpowder,
Yeah. Maybe
stuff
some
like
cooked
that.
shark.
None of these outfits were practical, dude. He's in the freaking Africa, Caribbean, and he's wearing like a long coat and stockings.
What's the Africa Caribbean?
No, I mean it's hot. Like it's a hot climate. Like what in the world is he wearing that for? I said he was in Africa and the Caribbean. Excuse me. And it's just like, what is
It's
he?
cold at sea at night, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
maybe.
It is actually pretty cool to see.
That's all I could
Quite
think of.
interesting. I'm just saying, please don't wear it. Please
Don't dress like that.
If you're gonna become a pirate, please don't dress like that.
Just like the
And
cool
how are
one.
those? How are these hats even practical? Like, what is the point? It's just
They're not.
It's just rank, right?
Well, they kept the sun off your head to a degree. And I always like to think, I didn't know what the point of the tricorn was. I think it was always kind of a
I thought it was
like
for
a fashionable thing. But if the sun were to be to your east, you could drop one side. If it was to your west, you could drop another side. If it was off your back in the south, you could drop another side.
It's always off your back in the south.
Depends on which way you're facing.
Well, when the king decided to do some pardons,
Oh yeah.
there were only two people that were not allowed to get pardons that were pirates: William Kidd and Henry Avery. The only two that were ever mentioned that were not allowed to accept any kind of pardon whatsoever. One, because William Kidd just literally betrayed everyone. They gave him a ship. They gave him a crew. They're like, we need you to hunt pirates. And he's like, all right, I got you. And then he's like, psych. He's killing people on his crew by throwing pots at their head.
Why
He takes over
Avery?
other ships. And I just think like to me, the code that they had on these ships for all of them were just it's just crazy to me that they would take over a ship, kill people, torture people, but if you went a little too far, your crew would go back to the governor and tattletale on you and be like, hey, you know what he did?
Yeah, what's the line there?
He only gave us like one rashing a day, even though we murdered and plundered and, killed a bunch of people. But still, and then they were held accountable for that. It's like really crazy. Yo, what's up, Hypnotic? I didn't know
Well, the
you knew
crazy
about this.
part is they would get in trouble. So
yeah,
you had
and they
to
would
be,
get exactly. That's the
you had
thing.
to be so careful as a pirate captain because, yeah, honestly, I mean, you would go and you would murder and pillage and grape and steal, blah 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 blah. Any one of those dudes could turn around and rat you out immediately.
Well, that was the case of William Kidd. He was defending himself against the quartermaster, and he threw a pot or something,
Yeah,
and it
Steel
killed
bucket.
him. And so then his crew ratted him out when they got back. They're like, he killed a guy on our ship, even though we murdered a bunch of other people and sunk some ships and stole money and everything else. Oh, he did? Well, then
that guy's a bad guy.
we must arrest him.
He threw a pot at his head. Who does that?
So the thing with Henry, he was part of a mutiny and took over a ship, and he also messed up some of the dealings, like you said, the trading company, and so he was bad for business. while the other pirates weren't. The other pirates were allowed to take pardons.
The
It's
cra-
just
the
crazy
crazy
to me how that
thing-
works.
The crazy thing for me is like we do hear about pirates starting out their piracy as a mutiny. What we don't often hear about is that a ship is a part of a 25 ship convoy.
Yeah, I know.
And they decide like we're out. You know what I mean? That's like Mad Max Thunderdome type stuff where there's like a whole bunch of ships doing this thing and one guy decides like I'm over it and then basically takes over and makes 600 grand.
Yeah.
That's insane. The hard thing for me to try to figure out is where do you take that stuff to sell it?
I might be confused, but the 25 thing was a convoy that he attacked as the pirate.
He was so the way I read it, and I could be completely wrong here, is that he was part of a large convoy that was making a pilgrimage. Hold on, let me find.
He was a part of that convoy because I read that they waited a few days because they learned that it was coming that way. They waited at the Red Sea and then took them on.
Because he was part of a four ship convoy to Spain to help in this like capital influx thing that England and Spain were doing, and when he was the first man on the Charles II, and they all mutinied and left. And then, like a year later, they did the 25 ship thing. Am I remember this wrong?
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I read.
I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find it. I could be totally wrong.
That's the wonderful thing about this type of history is that depending on
everyone has a different side of the story.
And depending on who you read and what you gathered, like if legit, like if all our history came from this one particular book, it'd be a little different than what other people have researched and found about the same pirates that we have been talking about.
Yeah, so he did the 25 ship convoy was the Grand Mohal vessels making the.
They were making a pilgrimage to Mecca. Yeah.
And he went with like 4 pirate captains down there.
One of them was Thomas too, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was one of them.
Okay.
Yeah, and the biggest ship that they took on in that whole wasn't there 25 of them or something? The biggest one.
They went to Perim to wait for the Indian fleet. That's what it was.
They had dozens of cannons and 400 riflemen, and
that's what I'm saying. It took a lot of
chutzpah
to say we could take on all those ships.
He was
a 25 ship fleet.
Yeah. Well, it was. It's not a fleet. It's
it was like a giant train.
Ships.
Yeah. Like they didn't really have a lot of firepower. They were just transporting it was like people taking the train from like Florida to New York.
Well, and also it would have been it was risky on their part because they would have been under the protection of what is this 16 like the Ottoman Empire, I think. And so you don't want to mess that because then what happened is it ended up forcing what happened with bad trade deals between the Ottoman Empire and England, which forced England and the East India Company to both put bounties on them.
Yeah. And no pardons or anything. Kill them dead and make them sound like they were the worst people in the world. So if you killed them, you were a hero, even though they might not have done anything bad to anyone anyway. A lot of the times, these pirates weren't really vicious people. They were just like, just give me your ship, give me your stuff, and off you go. And then every now and then you hear horror stories from different crazy ones that didn't last long. If you were very smart as a pirate, like Sam Bellarmine or others, you were very successful quickly, and you knew when to call it quits. Sam Bellarmine, unfortunately, was killed in a hurricane. But other than that, he was very smart, very tactical, didn't really abuse people, hurt people, but got a lot of money really quick. And Ian with another $50 donation. He goes, it depends who annoyed the crown. Privateers who became pirates weren't the same as pirates who annoyed them from the start.
I can see that too. Yeah, and there were pirates who would attack the Portuguese, the Spanish, all these different other people,
they kind of
not the British.
Yeah. They kind of like turn their head a little bit when it's like, well, they're taking on Spanish ships, even though the war is over.
Exactly.
Do we really care?
Yeah, it's just we got other things to worry about.
Well, because when that letter comes in and says, "Hey, this person is attacking our ships," they're like, "They're not with us.
Yeah,
they're acting just by themselves."
Or their letter of marque ended last month. So sorry,
Yeah.
guys, but they're not really our problem anymore.
Yeah,
that's pretty wise. Well, I mean, most of the pirates of the Golden Age were from. They used to work for the Navy, and then the Navy fired them all, and they're like, "We got nothing for you. The war's over.
yeah,
Good luck."
What am I gonna go do? Shear sheep? Like,
no, we're gonna get more souls because Raider
Oh my
says, "Hey,
God.
I'm just gonna do 20 more." Raider, what the heck? Did you rob a 7-Eleven?
Welcome to the crew. Now get to work.
Jeez, man. Thank you, brother. You don't have to do that, man. That's 120 souls for our Commodore. It's more than enough. Actually, we're 30 down, so we're waiting on Kings. He's supposed to drop 30 more.
he's got something going on.
Oh, that's not happening.
Rigging line. There's a rigging line hanging out.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
Look at this.
Tie it down like 4 times.
This avatar picture. Raider bringing the booty. What was I doing in that picture?
Reading a meme.
Trying to read.
Yeah. Trying is the key word here. But anyway, I forgot where we were with Henry. But yeah, going back, it just seems that Henry, in my opinion, the big Henry just didn't care. He wanted money. He wanted to retire. It became people like it. I think if people didn't make a big deal about him, such as England and these other and the trading company and things like that, no one would probably even know his name. Mm-hmm. But because he had such a a bounty on his head, everyone was like, "Well, who is this guy? Wait, why are we hunting down this guy? Oh, he just got $95 million. Really? Doing what? Sailing a ship and flying a red flag."
Well, it was probably also, not only are they hunting him down because the crown has ordered him to be put to death, but because they're like, "Oh, so you're telling me if we get there first, we're going to find a ship laden with gold and silver and rubies and diamonds? Yeah, we'll go. Let's go look for him." It was treasure hunting.
If you try to take it to like the midday, like the modern day equivalent, it would be like the United States government and like Amazon, or like somebody who tracks all of your movements, saying like, "We got to take this guy out." You know what I mean? We have to get rid of him. And the fact that we don't really know what happens to him, I think lends to that he might have just disappeared into the countryside at some point. He just.
I hope so. I like that.
Poof, and
I think it would be cool if him and Benjamin Hornigold, who also disappeared with some money, just like they had some secret place,
like a Ocean's 11.
Yeah,
like,
it's like
everything. They all slap hands and
the
like.
Thing is, though, Benjamin was in charge of the flying gang. He started the flying gang, right?
Yeah.
You look at again. I bring up Sam Bellamy, Henry. These people, to me, in studying them and reading about them, they were a little bit brighter than some of these other ones, like a Charles Vane. No offense, I know you're in the chat. You were very vicious. Like you just were like, because you were also fighting against the crown at the same time, who was like, they were coming after you. A Calico Jack who just went after like small fishing vessels, didn't really want to go after any big prize.
He's a bit of a poof.
And so like these type of pirates, they were smart enough. They literally, you gotta know when to hold them, know when to hold them, know when to walk away, know when to run. You better count. That's basically what they did. They were just like, it's getting a little. I got enough money, I'm out.
Yeah.
And it would be so neat if they had some little.
You got to think there was some kind of contingency plan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As the ship sails by an island, they pull a J and hop in the cannon and jump onto the small island. And then a sloop picks them up and takes them to Antigua. And then they change their name and they go somewhere else, you know, to get out of the game. I mean, you think about like all modern criminal organizations that have occurred since, you know, I don't know, 1850. A lot of them get away, other than the stupid ones, you know, like Bonnie and Clyde, who have a shootout at the end of the car. I mean, some people go out like that, you know what I mean? But the smart ones, they disappear and you never see them again. And they want for nothing. They won life. They took the risk and they won.
Yeah, and it didn't take long.
Keep the house.
A year,
Yeah.
2 years. That's it.
I mean, that's our guy right here, Henry. It was a 2-year stretch. That was it. Really?
35 years old.
Yeah.
So
right
I
goal
hope. I think it. Man, that would be pretty.
That means
amazing.
next year might be my year.
It could be
34 to 36 is gonna be my stretch. You know what I mean?
Where they're either going to be a poor beggar or you're just going to disappear.
Yep.
Old Renaissance boomer. Yo.
Welcome to the crew. Now get to work.
Thank you for becoming a member of the channel.
Good to see you, Boomer.
Let's just hope like 5 years from now, someone will just randomly walk somewhere in the Caribbean and be like, man, there's a lot of like history here. I guess maybe this is where they all just hung out. And
I'm
that's
waiting
just where
for
they are.
Frederick Lowe to walk up to me and be like, "Did you know you're the great, 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 grandson of Frederick Lowe? Here's $52 million."
After taxes, though, go make sure you pay your taxes.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to you all in gold.
I'd still pay the taxes. I'd have like $20 million left.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So again, at the end, this is I'm reading this off the history.com website. According to General History of Pirates, it says even though he had a massive fortune, roughly around 20 million for his own money after dividing it up with the crew, it says that Avery returned to his native England to settle down, only to be lied to and manipulated out of his fortune by corrupt merchants. And according to the book,
Bristol,
the so-called king of pirates died poor and anonymous, not being worth as much as it would to buy him a coffin for proper burial.
There's no way that happened. I'm sorry. There's no way. A guy like that doesn't get swindled by merchants. Like, no
I
shot.
agree completely.
Yeah.
I just
No
think he
shot.
was,
Smart.
I think he was too smart for that. I think he was too smart. And if he was as vicious as the certain governments said that he would, I don't know if anybody would want to even try to swindle him. That's the other thing too.
Yeah.
It's like if you're dealing with, you know, if it's like if I sat around and I go, hey man, there's Blackbeard. Let's go swindle him out of some money. What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I imagine a graveyard scene that fits into the story well, and the Bristol merchants try to take him for what he's worth. One of them winds up dead. The other one winds up with a pistol next to his head. A body goes in the casket, and he goes, "If you know what's good for you, you will never speak about this again." And Thomas Avery gets buried in a graveyard, and Thomas Avery goes home to his wife.
The other thing too is just like what we were saying earlier. How do we not know that he took some of his fortune and went to some merchants and say, if people speak about me, tell them this tale that I've lost all my money and that I'm a poor beggar somewhere.
Yeah.
Here you go. Here's a cool million. You know, here's some diamonds, so you could even say, yeah, we swindled them. We've got some of the diamonds.
I think about like the British Empire going, we know he's not dead. We'll give you this much money if you tell me where he is. And it doesn't have to be as much as, you know, Avery gave him. You just, you know, we'll give you money if you tell him where. So you have to incentivize it the right way. I don't know.
I think he was smart enough to pay someone to tell a story. Because that, like you said earlier, that this is the perfect escape.
Yeah.
Tell the guy who's going to
Yeah.
write one of the most popular books ever printed in 1700s, right? 1720, this came out.
Yeah.
It was bestseller on the New York Times best-selling list for like years. And literally say, like, you disappeared. They said Benjamin Hornigold disappeared. Like, no one knew. How do you not know where this guy is who started a gang, who knew Blackbeard, who knew Sam Bellarmine, who knew Anne Bonny, who was like the mayor of freaking of Nassau?
Yeah.
And now you're saying he just walked away and just disappeared somewhere? Come on, man.
You have to make your death more interesting than your legacy at that point. That's the only believable thing.
Anne Bonny was another one that disappeared. Now, like, there's other historians that saying that she just probably went back to working in a brothel.
Yeah.
And that was the end of her. That was the end.
I mean, it could be. You never know. You have to wonder, where does that money go? Where does the money go?
She didn't really have money. She was captured, and then she was pregnant, allegedly, and then they let her go because she was pregnant.
I mean, this guy. So
yeah, that's the thing too.
Henry had like 20 million. Where does that money go, dude?
That's the thing too. It's like, how do you pay for stuff with a diamond? Somehow you got to go somewhere to turn that in for gold.
You have to fence it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you just can't, like, hey lad, give me some corn. Here's a shiny stone.
Yeah. Somebody's going to have record of that. So like a jewel seller in the United States is going to be like, I paid a whole buttload of money for an uncut gem that came out of, Africa off of this ship. Who sold it to you?
What's up, Tina? I see you on Facebook.
Or whatever his name was, John Long or Benjamin Long.
Ben Long. But I'm just saying, I think I agree that I think that was a perfect getaway, is to make up a story and how you are poor, that you can't harm anyone anymore, that you're whatever. Just like Blackbeard used stories of himself to convey fear, around like wherever, where he sailed. The stories just got crazy, about how horrible he is, how he ate people, set people on fire. Yeah. And he probably didn't do any of that stuff. It was just, old sea tales that they told everyone.
Well, I'm not a pirate, but I think if I won 120 million on the lottery, I would develop terminal lung cancer the next day.
That's the thing too. If you hear these stories of people that win in big in Vegas and then they disappear because they don't want to celebrate, and like,
what happened? Like, oh, you died of lung cancer the next day. We had no idea.
I don't know. We'll see. Well, that's the story of Henry, the king of pirates.
Avery
is what I always said.
Jack, John, Benjamin, Ben.
The name change.
Whatever his name is.
Yeah, that's true. I will say this though, his pirate flag is very popular. Every time I've gone to different museums and stuff, they have this, and of course, Calico Jack's flag and Blackbeard's flag, all plastered on shirts and everything.
I like ours.
It's just like, which one you like? Ours will be the next big thing.
Dude, so Hokies 95 says skull with headphones. That's what it reminds me of. It's like a Beats by Dre ad.
Does it looks like a,
doesn't it? It looks like a Beats by Dre.
What's crazy is there's one historian that wrote that none of this stuff is true.
Yeah.
As far as the pirate flags, that the flags were either black or red. They didn't have any skulls or anything.
Yeah.
But there's some contradiction to that story, because in the museum over in St. Augustine, they have an original like pirate flag that was dated back so many years. They have it
early
sealed.
1700s, wasn't it?
They have it, yeah. They have it sealed in glass with like the what do you call that? Temperature control.
Yeah, sensors and everything on it.
So yeah, so how do you know, man? That's the thing, man. How do you know? They'll be talking about pirates 100 years from now, and who knows what will happen. I will say this. I think the best book on pirates is
General History.
Let's see.
I was gonna get that at the Pirate
No.
Museum, but I didn't end up grabbing it.
Yeah, don't buy the general history of pirates yet because
don't
we're
buy
gonna
it
have a
yet.
copy coming.
Because we might have a special copy.
Very special copy.
Oh my gosh, come on! I hate when they do this. Is this one right here? Let me pull it up, and I'll tell you why. And then we'll be done. I know you guys have stuff to do, but The Republic of Pirates by Colin Woodward. Colin. Woodard. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah. By Colin.
Just
Woodard.
Colin.
Before I say his name wrong.
Woodard.
How this guy researched this book. He was on a podcast and it was so fascinating. He was given special permission to go into this special Congress library in England where they had some of the old papers and what do you call those logs? Like those captain's logs that are on the ships?
Ship log.
Yeah, the ship logs from Woodes Rogers and others.
Oh wow.
The original ones. And he was able to, and he had like a bunch of experts with him. And what he did, it's to me, this is fascinating. I'm sorry. This is how I nerd out. So you got to deal with it. Sorry. He had experts with him that were experts in like, what do you call it? People that understand charts of like how the waters and
Topography.
The different tides work and the way the winds work. So basically what he's saying is
It's not topography.
I'm just going to use Blackbeard as an example. They had written records from the government or wherever, from the colonies. They had these papers that Edward Teach was here in June, right? And then in some of the other history books, they said that he was somewhere else in July. Well, they had like these experts saying it was impossible for him to leave this area and be in this place because of the way the currents and the winds and all that stuff. It would take him about 8 months to get to this place. This is wrong. So this person wasn't Blackbeard. They were talking about a different pirate. It's just so fascinating how the amount of research that went into this book, like unbelievable, where it was like, okay, here was the wanted ads for Calico Jack and Bonnie and Mary Reed. This was from Boston. This came out on this date. They're said to be here, but we tracked them here. And then they put it all together in this book, which could possibly be one of the best historic research pirate books in my lifetime, honestly. The fact that he was able to get Woodes Rogers ship log, the actual ship logs that they've kept. He tells the story too. He goes, you guys remember in the first Lord of the Rings movie when Gandalf saw the ring and he like, keep this in the envelope, I'll be right back. And he goes to like some tunnel and pulls out old scrolls. Yeah, he's like, that's how it was like going into this pit in England where all these old like and they're all like sealed in this special like cases and they're just stacked up. And he's like, there's so much history there that nobody goes in there and looks at it.
Yeah.
So it's just like,
wouldn't you though? There. I mean, like, dude, if you had the opportunity to put some white gloves on and just go back and look at naval records from like the early 1700s to hear,
what I'm saying.
I don't even care if it's like, a ship's manifest that says 16 barrels of sugar and this many cannonball. Like 100%, I would want to read it.
So they actually invited him back because they only gave him an hour with those logs. He actually was able to go back with a special camera, and they let him stay there for 4 hours with his team. And he said he just took tons of pictures of ship logs during the golden age of pirates. And
send me the link for that
book.
Yeah.
He also wrote he wrote a couple other of like some of my favorite books too, that those are the ones that I'm reading. He wrote
it's a cartographer. Come on, chat.
That was literally the second one I said. So
he wrote this book called The Lobster Coast. It is excellent. about the whole lobster industry, like how it got started.
I was gonna say, so there'd be like northeastern Americas in the early 1700s.
I'm really as a history nerd, this guy
That's wicked stuff.
he does it for me. So
What?
up in
Northeastern America, you know, you eat buffalo wings, but they used to eat lobster, a lot of lobster.
anyway, what do we have? Wait. Did we get Mountain Mud for 2? YouTube shorted Raider by 16 gifties. Conspiracy? How is that?
Maybe the 4 of us got gifted.
Maybe we just ran out of
Yeah,
we ran out of
was it
people that
maxed
get a
out?
gifted membership. Old Renaissance Boomer for 5. Remember the Time Life book set? How they would lose criminals in the Badlands? Me? How? I saw the Badlands. Now I understand.
Yeah, they disappeared for a reason.
You don't know if they lived or died. I will say this: when I did a lot of work in Haiti, there's a place that you could look up on Google called Cité Soleil, City of the Sun. It's Haiti's biggest, I guess, ghetto, right? And the police and no one would go in there. Well, one day, I only went. I drove through it once. And my interpreters and all that, they're like, we can never drive. Like, this is the most dangerous place. Like, and at one point, it was like the most dangerous place in the entire world, right? And if you look at like some of the aerial photos, it looks terrible. It's just zinc sheet homes, if you know what that is, like these little metal boxes.
Yeah.
So one day we were getting ready to head to the airport to pick some people up from the Port-au-Prince airport. Cité Soleil is close to the Port-au-Prince airport, but people that live there never leave and vice versa. And people don't go in there. Like, it's crazy. Like the international police, the UN and all this stuff were like going in to Cité Soleil. And we were like, what the heck? And never was in the news or anything, of course, because no one cares. We're sitting there like, what the heck is happening? Like, they never go into that. You just don't go there. Well, apparently, like 4 international drug lords who was running from like the international law was living in there from South America. They had made their way to Haiti to live in this horrific place that they knew they would never get caught, and their homes weren't that great. Like, it's not a home. It was just like a metal box, like dirt on the ground.
Yeah.
They had money to keep themselves protected. So they had food.
Did they get
and
them?
stuff. Oh yeah, they killed them.
Oh
yeah,
damn.
They went in there and they shot them and killed them.
Yeah, people don't think about like how awesome America is. It's a really nice place.
So I'm like, I come back to the States and I'm like, did you guys hear on the news that they caught this drug lord and they killed him in Haiti? And they're like, no. And I'm like searching for
Tiger
it.
shot a 68 on the front.
This guy. I'm like searching Google. And I'm like, no, I'm telling you, man, I was there, made all over. Like, they and this is the worst part. Like, there's pictures you could see when they kill someone like that in Haiti, they drag their bodies out in the street as
it's a warning.
Yeah, like, don't be like this guy.
Yeah, it's almost like the 1700s. Where they hang you up in the town square and they're like, hey, don't do this.
And you have to listen to the radio when you're there because they're like, all right, Highway 6 is closed. Dead body in the road. It'll be closed for most of the day. And you're just like, yep, we're staying inside. Old Renaissance Boomer, Jay's Perfect Camper. Convert. An old short bus. I did that already.
Feels just like home.
Did you guys not know that?
Did you wind up going through with one of them?
Yeah, I didn't buy it yet.
We talked.
Yeah. Did you guys know, like, I drove a short bus in Haiti? I used to have a picture out, but...
Drove or rode on?
No, I drove. It's not what you think. So... Oh, yeah, here
you
it
pretended.
Is. No, I didn't pretend. No, that's not it. Y'all never saw my picture, did you? It'll take me forever to find it, but one day I'll show you guys. I showed it on Geeks and Gamers when we were on there. But yeah. I had my own little short bus there, and we picked up like water and food and people from the airport and all that stuff until it just broke down. And then that was it. I never
You just left it there.
messed with it again.
Somebody made a house out of it.
Yeah. That's for sure. I don't know. Oh, here we go. I got it. Here we go.
A lot of seating areas.
This is good old Jay in his short bus. Look at that. In Haiti. Look at me driving that thing.
Okay, hold on. Leave that there for 1 second. Just
hey, man, we were helping poor people. Don't make fun of me, all right?
No, that's a meme. That's a meme for sure.
Look at the streets behind you, man. Like this is how you had to live in Haiti. Like, see, this is where the base was.
I already have it. Get in, kids. We're watching Rings of Power.
You see the barbed wire? Hey, man, I did something important in my life, okay?
The barbed wire?
I hate that y'all would make fun of this. There was a lot of people that
is wild, dude. That
there
looks
was
like
a lot of good
that
we
looks like
did there.
Mogadishu, man. But they have a Mercedes. I can't afford that.
So the Mercedes that were over in these other countries they're not like the Mercedes here.
I was gonna say that's probably a government official tailing you.
It wasn't that. These little motorcycles here, they ruled the streets. Everybody had one of those.
Yeah,
so,
it's like Thailand. Scooters everywhere.
They're pretty crazy. So my time is my own pirate. And I also went to La Tuti, which is another name for Tortuga. So that was kind of neat. Anyway.
Been to Tortola.
At least your license isn't suspended, Jay.
You don't know that.
It's not suspended. The Big Billy becomes a member of the chat.
Welcome to the crew. Now get to work.
That's one way to avoid parking tickets. You just parked on the sidewalk.
It's bad.
You just parked.
Jay's like, I want to buy a van. He shows up in a yellow. I'm like, whoa.
An old school bus. Do you even need a license in Haiti? Yeah, and this is how, or I don't know how we got on a Haiti discussion. Is if you have an American license, you can drive in Haiti. But if you get pulled over by the police, what they do is they take your driver's license, and you got to go to the police station, and then you have to pay money to get your license back. They take your license and nail it to a wall. So when you get there, now they've wrecked your license, especially when you go back to America. When you go there, you've got to find it. They didn't do it to me. They did it to one of my drivers. You got to find it on the wall. Then you're like, that's me right there, officer. And he'll look at it and go, yeah, $50. Or you pay them cash when you pull over. You pay the fine right then and there. If not, you got to go to the station.
Yeah,
if you get caught,
fine right there.
If you get caught driving without a license, the fine triples every single time. So you get this piece of paper and they fill it. It's crazy.
By the way, that $50 does not go to the government or to the people. That goes right into the guy who.
100%. 100% too.
Yeah. You made me do my job.
I got pulled over all the time. And they're like, and they're just like, what you got back there? I was like, I got bags of rice. Would you guys like one? Yes. They just took it. And you was like, well, that was pretty painless. So, it is what it is. Dylan says, bro, wait, Jay, you should buy an old school bus and refit it to look like a pirate ship. The windows could be cannon doors. Can probably only get away with that in Texas and Florida.
Yeah.
People don't know how good they have it in America. And that's the truth.
Amen.
That's the truth. Well, that's our pirate podcast for today. We've gone an hour and a half. I could see my crew is getting restless.
Thomas. Henry.
Thomas.
Johnson.
Henry.
Where did Thomas come from?
Henry
Avery. Very long.
A man of many names. What do you have? What do you guys got going on? Anything special?
No. So honestly, after yesterday, the script was finished for the book.
Oh yes, that's what you should expect on this channel. We are going to have a whole playlist dedicated to the Daughter's Revenge, well, you'll learn a little bit about the different characters, the ships, the places, things like that. So I hope you guys check those out. Hopefully, we'll start rolling those videos out. I want to say October, maybe a little bit later. Also, we're going to have a special Daughter's Revenge shirt launch from 9 Line Apparel.
Yes.
Maybe around the end of October, November. This is only a one-time deal. It's a special shirt just for the book from 9 Line. We will sell other shirts later, but they won't be as good as the one from 9 Line Apparel. The quality and some of the money goes to help veterans. So that's how we're going to be starting things off.
It's kind of a bummer. It's a short run, but the fact that they picked us up for that run is
they don't do
massive.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's massive for Jay and I to like get that like logo on a 9 Line shirt. And the great thing about and I'm not like selling this, but like the 9 Line shirts, when you wash them, the stuff doesn't fade away, which is what I love about the 9 Line shirts.
No, they're pretty good at
they are incredible, and the fact that we get to sell shirts and it benefits a veteran organization. I mean, what else do you want?
If we sell over 1,000, they'll keep the run up a little bit longer. So we'll see how that goes.
Let's aim for 1,000.
X-Wing Tags on X showed Jay his new bus, old Renaissance Boomer for 2. Jay, is the book going to be young adult or adult? If adult, what for? The Daughter's Revenge will be an adult book.
Adult. This
There'll
is not
definitely be a lot of violence. It won't be like nudity or anything like that, but there'll definitely be a lot of violence.
Yeah.
So
it shows combat in its grossest form between ships, because that stuff was bad. It was really bad.
Yeah, rusty knives, intestine.
I mean,
like that.
Well, here's the bottom line. You got to think about it. If a giant cannonball, this big, weighs, 6 pounds, 7 pounds, doesn't look like that much. But when it's going 1,200 feet a second and punches through a timber that's this big, it creates a lot of shrapnel. It really messes up the gun deck of a ship. So we see a lot of that. And then beyond that, you have to remember too, is that if these ships ever got into close enough range where somebody was boarding, muskets weren't very accurate at the time. So a lot of the stuff was done mano-a-mano with blades, and it was not pretty. So people got shot.
Everyone is making meme short buses. This ain't the show for that. But thank you, hey, you guys, for 2.
They're doing Jamie.
I just couldn't imagine like being in a ship made of wood and all the wood blowing up. I'm sure that was fun.
Well, imagine you're on the lower deck of a ship and a cannonball blows out the wood and you're on the floor and water starts coming in. Like, what do you do?
SOL is what you are.
What do you do?
They didn't treat women well or nice either.
No.
I was going to say wicked talk for the first time in 10 minutes and I cut her off. I'm sorry.
Yep.
It's okay. I'm just listening. When I don't have anything to say, I don't say anything. So.
She had dressed better than all of us put together. I mean,
Yeah.
I would, if I was doing a pirate podcast, I'd kind of be embarrassed dressed like that.
It's kind of gross.
Especially with some weird cable like hanging down from the ceiling.
For the first time in forever, Wicked Virtue has a bigger hat than me.
This is the hat I've had. I told you.
Look at the size of that thing, dude. Huge.
It's all love.
I got it at the Renaissance Festival.
I want to say
like it.
Ian, Raider, everyone who gave gifties, everyone who gave memberships. We will
Shout out
not
to Jane Theory in
we
the
will
chat.
not neglect this channel. We just have been extremely busy. So expect videos, things like that from me and X-Wing as we get ready to launch Daughter's Revenge. We will leave you with the final with our latest commercial. Until next time, drink up me hearties, yo ho.
Stormy, pilfery, filches, and drink up the oddies, yo ho. Marauded, embezzle, and even hijack. Drink up the oddies, yo ho. Yo